Hi everyone. Today's Monday, November 8th, 2021. I'm Crystal Dawn Hill, and today I'm here to share a very special message with you. I got an epiphany today in the shower that was a culmination of a lot of energy work that I've been doing over the past couple days. And I'm calling the video Glam, the G spot of a unified soul, for a couple different reasons. The first reason being because I've discovered that when we reach a certain level of ascension or evolution of our soul, it is quite glamorous. We vibe on a similar level to celebrity because, not necessarily because we're in the public eye, but because we have the potential or the ability to reach many different people through the platform of social media or mainstream media in some cases. So that's why I called it Glam. But the reason I'm calling it G-spot is because I personally have had a discovery of there being a literal G-spot between the unified soul of twin flames or divine partners. And what that is the core wound that they share. When that begins to be worked through as a unit, whether both people are intentionally doing it or even if they're not conscious of it, it is still taking place on an energetic level. So that's why I wanted to put that G spot in there. And I already sort of explained what I mean by unified soul, but it doesn't only apply to twin flames and divine partners, but also other members of the soul group or monad. And what I refer to that is twin ray, or a soul fragment, or a soul aspect. Now with that part being explained, I'd like to share my actual epiphany. My epiphany specifically applies to my divine masculine and myself, but also to certain members of my soul group and monad, and another soul monad that my soul monad is merging with. He's another divine masculine, and he is a representative of sorts of this other monad with which my soul monad is merging. This, in my opinion and in my personal experience, is a huge step in spiritual evolution or the ascension process. And when I did all this energy work over the past couple days, I immediately saw evidence of it impacting my divine masculine. And even though I haven't gotten evidence of it impacting the other person, I have a very strong suspicion that it did, because he was in a dream that I had last night. And what I believe and what I've also heard is anytime anyone is in your dream space, you have some sort of connection with them, even if it's on a very, very subtle level. Okay, now I want to go back to what I was saying about a core wound. So, because divine partners are of the same soul essence, they share core wounds with one another. And what I've noticed since meeting my divine partner, and especially within the last year or so, that we're always working on the same core wound. in stride or in tandem with one another. So my epiphany that I had today was regarding a core wound or an issue that my divine partner and I are facing right now simultaneously in our connection, and it is polarized between us. So he's on one end of the spectrum and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. And when I realized this, I was just blown away, because every time we go through a cycle or a rotation in the spiral of ascension, we clear something new. I've noticed this since the beginning when we first met, that we would go through cycles, and in each cycle there was a theme to that particular period of time. And the periods of time vary. What really is most notable about each rotation or each cycle is how much effort or energy is expended in that period of processing. So it could be 6 weeks, it could be a year, it could be 3 years. And this cycle that we're in now is the beginning of another 3-year period. So what this is not control, but rather dominance. Now, I know some people might think those words are interchangeable, and I guess in a sense they are. But in the particular context that I'm using them and how they apply to mine and my divine masculine's connection, they're distinct from one another. So when I think of control, I think of us wanting to be in control of the events and the circumstances within our life, within our everyday existence. And when I think of dominance, I think of having influence over another person. So he and I have worked through a lot of the control aspects of wanting to be in control of the circumstances regarding our connection. And of course, they're not worked through 100%, but we've faced them and we've cleared a lot of that desire to be in control of what goes on in our connection. But now we're faced with this new thing of dominance. So he's on the end of the spectrum where he is more, not that he is, but that he behaves in such a way that would make it look like he's more dominant and I'm more submissive. But as most of us know, however things look in the 3D, they're flipped or reversed in the 5D. So on an internal level, or in 5D, it's the other way around. Because he's being influenced by fear and ego and wanting to be in control of his own circumstances rather than being in surrender to the divine. He's actually on the lower end or the submissive side of that, because he's in submission to the fear. Conversely, because I'm in a state of surrender and trusting and allowing myself to be guided by my inner navigation system, my higher power, I'm on the upper end of the spectrum where I'm not dominant over him, but I'm in favor of the divine. and through me, or through the divine, I'm able to be more, have more say or more clout as far as how the connection between him and me progresses. Now, this brings me to another point that sort of falls under the umbrella of the different terminology I used in the title. I'm discovering that there is a third person whose energy, and their energy only, not anything about their personality or intention or anything like that, but their energy is playing a role in this dynamic. And this was unexpected. I've heard about this and never really gave it much thought or consideration. But now that I'm experiencing it firsthand, I understand what I've been hearing coming from other people. So when I first discovered this person who's in the public eye, I noticed that his energy felt very much like my divine masculines, but on a personal level, he's more similar to me. And this got me thinking about other people in my life that seem to carry a certain amount of soul essence of both my divine masculine and myself instead of just one or the other. And these people seem to have a stronger pull on me and my energy, and we seem to have more of an overlap when it comes to personality traits and background and things like that, moral standards and all that. So this person has a lot of overlap with both my divine masculine and myself. And this really got my attention. And the more I noticed about him, the more my attention was pointed toward my knowledge about the masculine and feminine energy. And it like my spirit guide kept trying to get my attention about this particular aspect of this person. And it got to the point where I just started writing it all down, because it was like I was on overload from it all being processed through my mind. And when I started putting it all down on paper, I was astounded, because the traits that he has are in direct complement to my divine masculine. And I was like, okay, this would explain why I feel so drawn to him, because it's like whatever my divine masculine is falling short of, this person kind of makes up for that, and vice versa. Well, I started writing all this down, and I had mentioned this on a short video that I did the other day, and I really wasn't expecting to come back to this in this video, but it kind of went in that direction naturally, so I'm gonna just explain a little bit about it again. I was astounded, because when I started writing all this down, I discovered that in all the areas that they polarize each other, when I was doing the written work in it, it ended up being like, okay, I know how to verbalize it. When one of them was in one polarity and the other one was in a different polarity, I would work through that, and when I found the complementary trait that would balance, that would be like the middle point of the two polarizations, they ended up being the same trait in both people, even though the polarized traits were very different in each person. So that kind of validated for me that they are indeed aspects of each other, because that's similar to what happens between the twin flames or the divine partners. And I think I needed to have all that experience in order to reach this epiphany that I reached today, in reference to the dominant trait versus the submissive trait. So this is going to be very, very significant in the evolution of mine and my divine masculine's progress, because I believe on a personal level that this is an area that he and I both struggled with for many years. And to discover that we can overcome this by just me doing the energy work on it, it's almost like the proof's in the pudding. I use that phrase all the time. And it's kind of making me feel like the energy work is kind of gelling or crystallizing into the 3D reality. Now, there's one more point that I wanted to make about this Glam part of my title. I do believe that in every divine union, that there is going to be an energy. And I don't mean the third energy, like the spirit that's created in the love between the twins. I don't mean that third energy. I mean a third party energy for each aspect that steps in. Maybe sometimes the human aspect of them will step in as well, but not necessarily. But at least the energy has to step in and balance either or both partners to a state or a level where they're ready for the divine partnership. And that doesn't necessarily need to be anyone in the public eye or of a celebrity status, but I believe that their spiritual evolution has to be at that level of vibration. So I'm finding all this fascinating. I don't know if, other people out there will resonate with it or identify with it or understand it, but I'm sharing this on video because if people don't understand it now, I believe they will down the road. And I wanted to get it on video because I find it fascinating, and because this other person is inspiring me to be more open and not more authentic, because I'm already very authentic and genuine, but more comfortable with expressing the parts of myself that I've had more subdued in the past, like that I haven't been really comfortable with discussing out in the open. And I'm really grateful for that. And it has helped me take a huge leap in my personal progress. And I believe that consequently that will be impactful to my connection with my divine partner as well. So I think that's everything I wanted to share about this topic. I'll probably do an update when I see more evidence of this taking effect, as far as the polarity of the submissive and dominant traits in us. When they seem to start balancing out, I'll give you an update. But until then, I want to thank all of you for following along in my journey. I wish you all the best along your journey as well, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.